So Weapons might be the second most anticipated horror film of 2025, next to the second FNAF movie. Zach Kreger, or Krieger, I'm not entirely certain, fresh off the set of his hot success Barbarian, one of the better horror films to be released in the last couple years, his brand new original screenplay Weapons ignited a big bidding war within the cinematic auction. Actually, the full, finished screenplay was leaked a couple months ago. As far as I've seen on Twitter and stuff, it was leaked like a year ago, and actually looking for that script 3 hours ago before I saw the film is how I spoiled one of the bigger twists in the movie for myself, so that was a whoops. Speaking of, the showtime for my screening of the film, which was early on August 7th, 2025 at 2:17 p.m. is very interesting because 2:17 is the time that all the kids in the movie run out of their respective houses and disappear forever, but it was 2:17 a.m. not p.m., but that's not important. 2:17 is the release date moratorium. I don't know whose idea it was to have a restriction on the showtime, to have it be only released at 2:17, but that was a pretty cool little detail when I was sitting in the theater hearing people talk about 2:17 at 2:17. Shit was crazy. Julia Garner, who you probably know from Ozark or the God Forbidden Wolfman of the same year that this film was also released in, we don't talk about that one, who plays one of the leads in this film, is what I like to refer to as an everything actor. An actor who plays the same character in everything that they're in. Ozark, Wolfman, and now Weapons, yeah, it's all the same person. She's playing the same person in every single thing. Now, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. Adam Sandler, Bill Burr, Mark Wahlberg, take your pick of any. They all play the same person in everything they're in, and that doesn't mean that they're a bad actor. By all means, someone can be both a good actor and an everything actor at the same time. Garner gives a good performance here, and her hair is always visually appealing to look at, so that was pretty cool to see in the film. There are themes of alcoholism in her character, which kind of goes nowhere, but it is a good way to elevate her character without the typical haunting death trope, and I did find it to be a little more entertaining than the other leads in this film who take the perspective now and then. There's this metaphor in screenwriting, which I think is a very good way of making your movie feel more fulfilling once the credits roll, and that's if your character leaves a gun on the table somewhere in Act 1, then that gun should be used and shot in Act 3. Zach does a really good job at exercising this metaphor and using it to the best of his ability while he was writing this screenplay. Since the story of this movie is told from the perspective of about 5 different people, many different things are set up and then pay off later, which makes me feel like some sort of a wrinkly brain cinephile sitting in a theater like, hey, I remember when that thing happened at that place and now it's happening here at the same... It's a very rewarding experience, and it makes the moviegoer feel smart. This movie feels really weirdly quiet sometimes. Instead of using the usual horror music during tense scenes, there's little to no music at all, which makes the jump scares feel really well earned and scary. Granted, none of them actually scared me, but the girl who was sitting next to me in the seat that she bought next to me curled up in a blanket and shit the whole time and was scared out of her mind. She flinched like she was getting shot at during even the smallest scare. It was kind of crazy. The first 25 minutes or so of the film is pretty slow. Actually, nothing really happens necessarily. The film takes a while to get all lubed up and ready to go, but once it is, it really pushes forward. I saw a lot of people on Reddit and such talking about the gore, saying it was going to be really gross and bloody. Well, first off, there's no actual death until about 2 hours in. There's no actual kill. Nobody actually dies until 2 hours into the film. And it's kind of gross, but not really. I've seen and have written much worse. It's not like Fede Alvarez or 90s Wes Craven level gore. It wasn't too bad. If the editor of the film had simply cut a couple of the shots a little short, it could have very easily been a PG-13 movie. Don't talk to me about a movie being gory until one of the producers has to bribe the MPA to get it past an NC-17 to an R rating. The whole film is definitely a child abuse metaphor, which doesn't really help the whole... won't anybody think of the children, family first bullshit that the world and mostly the United States is going through right now. I've noticed a lot of social commentary being put into a lot of new horror movies recently, like The Substance was a fantastic body dysmorphia metaphor, Companion was a misogyny metaphor, so on and so forth. This is a very new thing, as horror movies have been well known for being far from political or socially relevant in any way. I think this is a really good way to get people thinking and talking about the cultural issues being brought up in these films, and it's a good way to secretly, kind of stealthily get people talking, you know? The cinematography is pretty decent, nothing too cheap looking or janky. Where it really shines is in the movements. I've said this before and I'll say it again, but a movie can be the most beautifully graded, lit, corrected piece of cinema where everything looks like a painting, but if nothing is in frame, what's the point? There are a lot of long, greatly dollied shots in the film, like there's a scene where one of the characters gets out of her car, walks into a liquor store, buys 2 things of vodka, and then leaves, and the entire thing is shot in one movement, and it's remarkalicious. I love it. It's great. So during a lot of the chase scenes, especially in the third act, they're very well done and very well directed by the DOP, director of photography, and that's a good sign. that means that people knew what they were doing. The color grading and correction itself, like the post-production process of the cinematography, is solid. I found that it worked really well during the darker scenes. The comedy is fantastic. I mean, a lot better than I thought it was. It works like a charm. The writing will have me laughing one minute, then looking for fucking witches in the frame the next. It really is a kind of a roller coaster of a film in terms of tone sometimes, and that's simultaneously a good and bad thing. This movie feels like it was a lot more of a late fall, early winter type of movie, so maybe a release date in October for Halloween would have been better, or maybe like February would have been better, not for the box office, but just for like the feeling of the movie. Anyways, that's it. I really liked Weapons a lot, so that was a good film.